What was that conversation like when you finally made the decision to not continue with college? What was that conversation like with
Well, and the thing was, I think he might have seen it coming, and you guys can tell why because I took about 2 solid semesters, and then after that, I started taking 1 semester off to pursue entrepreneurship, and then I'd go back and I'd take a semester of school, and even after a while, after of taking a semester off and then the semester on, my semester on was pretty much like golf. I'd take
Mhm.
golf and business classes, and then the thing was, it was so funny because I started telling my dad, I was like, I think I'm going to chase this other stuff. And by this point, he had slowly put his toe in the water. You know, he had kind of come around a little bit to my thinking on
Mhm.
entrepreneurship a little bit.
Yeah.
And nowadays, he's actually very much on my side, which is actually astonishing to me.
Yeah.
But after taking 1 semester on, 1 semester off, I talked with a mentor. His name's Corbin Church, worth hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. This guy has sold over 5 businesses where he made over $100 million on each one of those. And he's very successful. And I went to him and I was like, do I need this degree? And I was so worried he was going to say yes. And he was like, well, are you a self learner? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. And he was like, are you a self doer? And I was like, more than anything. And he was like, good, get out of here. And I was like, where do I go? And that's where he was like, sales. If you're going to do business, you need to know sales because you need to understand people. And I was like, okay. So I spent the next several years,
Mhm.
and it was so funny because I spent the next several years just taking every sales job I could. And I'd take about 3 or 4 months and I'd learn the sale. I'd learn how they did it in tech, in automobiles, in door to door, in all these different industries. And by the time I got to the point where I could be number one relatively quickly, I was like, oh man, I'm actually starting to enjoy this.
Mhm.
And that's where I was like, okay, I think I've got it. It's probably time to start a business.
Yeah.
But it took some time, it took some guts, guys, and frankly, it wasn't a walk in the park. Sales is not fun. It's a rough ride at the beginning.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that it's like during this whole time, you're not really making a ton of money until you start being number one. But then once you're even number one, my strategy, I kept going, okay, I'll make several thousands of dollars and then I'll leave that job and I'll go try entrepreneurship again. And the funnier thing that I think nobody really saw was that I actually took more college classes after I dropped out.
Mhm.
I went to the business building. I'd start sitting in. I'd ask the entrepreneurship law teacher, hey, how do I do this? I'd go sit in on marketing classes and I'd learn stuff because suddenly the education made sense and I wanted it. And that was
Right.
one of the sources I could get it from.
Yeah.
Books, teachers, however you can get it, you've got to be willing to put in the time. And man, it doesn't come naturally to you. You got to grind in it for a bit before you actually pick it up and understand